Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Byjus Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the Hindu analysis of 4th July 2024. Let us look at the articles that we are going to cover today. There was not much when it comes to mains today, but then for IR and internal security, the first topic can be used. 2611 accused, Rana can be extradited, US attorney says, and this should be done as quickly as possible. This is, long due. And he should be brought to India, and justice should be brought to the people who got killed in this horrific incident in Bombay. What had happened, India can never forget that, and these people need to be punished as quickly as possible. Second, return Indians stuck in Ukraine war zone, Jaishankar to Lavrov. Again, a topic we have discussed many a times. Hardly one or two lines we shall discuss here. And specifically in the context of Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi traveling to Russia, this is an important news. Third, till Russia do us part, NATO at 75 and enduring alliance. Again, we have studied about NATO many times, and we shall look into this. This is an article that will give us a few points which we should remember. Fourth, factory accidents appointed to rusty inspection reform. So we will take this topic editorial, which will help us in answers with regards to labor, what all has to be done with regards to labor reforms. That is something that can be seen. Gujarat High Court rejects state government's probe report in Vadodra boat tragedy, another unfortunate incident that had happened, and we shall see what exactly High Court is saying over here. Apart from these five, there are seven news articles. Where is this? Sorry. It should. I'll take it. Yeah. So the first one is Smart Cities Mission period extended till March 25 for completion of projects. Again, another very old topic. Something that you might have studied many times, but then again in news, so we'll look into this. Second one, Mumbai Ahmedabad bullet train expected to begin operations in Gujarat by 2027 end. Again, old topic. Third, no Indian industry presence in Board of National Research Foundation. So we shall see the act under which there should have been a presence of Indians over here, but it has not happened. Fourth, air pollution spikes may raise death rates in cities with cleaner air. Now, this is something very strange, but that's something that this report, this study says that, for example, Bangalore, which has a cleaner air, and tomorrow if air pollution happens, the death rate would be higher in Bangalore compared to Delhi, which does not have that cleaner air. So, something that can be remembered for pre. Fifth, India to host UNESCO World Heritage Session. Okay, Heritage Committee session. Okay, we'll look into that. Sixth, UFO Day rekindles the conspiracy theory that refuses to die. So we shall look into what exactly is UFO Day and conspiracy theory. You all know there are many such theories with regards to UFO. Lastly, Hurricane Beryl kills 7 as it churns towards Jamaica. Now, I just took this because very much in news, because already in the morning, the cricket team has come back from West Indies, and they were stuck in West Indies for the last 3 days, mainly because of this Hurricane Beryl. So, these are the 12 topics. Let us start with the first one. 2611 accused, Rana can be extradited. Just remember this line. Beyond this, remember that Rana, full name, Tahavvur Rana. He was a Pakistani-born businessman, Pakistani origin, but Canadian businessman. And he is wanted in India for his role in the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks. And according to the US courts, he can be extradited. This can be done under the plain provisions of US-India extradition treaty. This has been told, by a US attorney to the court. So please remember for prelims as well as mains that India and US already have this, an extradition treaty, and under this treaty, Mr. Tahavvur Rana can be extradited to India. Now, this man is there in jail. He is around 63-year-old and is in Los Angeles jail. And we want to prosecute him for his role in the Mumbai terror attacks that led to the unfortunate death of 166 people and there were 239 injuries. So Rana, he faces charges for his role in the Mumbai attacks and is known to be associated with Pakistani American terrorist David Coleman. Please remember David Coleman Headley's name, another name who was involved in this, and they are the main conspirators as far as the 26/11 Mumbai attacks are concerned. So again, this is something, for India, US, remember this. Under internal security, remember his name, David Coleman Headley's name, and all of you must be knowing about the Mumbai terror attacks. Use it in your answers if there is any such question. Moving to the second topic, return Indians stuck in Ukraine war zone. Now you all remember there is SCO summit going on, and on the sidelines of this summit, where India is being represented by our external affairs minister, Mr. S. Jaishankar, he met Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. They both met yesterday in Kazakhstan, Astana, and there our external affairs minister had clearly asked the Russian external affairs minister that they should facilitate the Indians who are stuck in Russia, they should be returned as quickly as possible. So please remember, already again I am repeating, Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi is going to travel to Russia 8-9 July, and there again India-Russia bilateral partnership would be discussed. Global strategic landscape is being discussed. Already these are being discussed between these external affairs ministers. Now, see, I'll tell you, this news I have covered many times. For example, 27th February, several Indians released from Russian Army, MEA. I have covered this many times earlier. But then still there are some Indians who are stuck over there. Already 4 Indians have been killed. And now 6 more are stuck. And they all belong to one village of Haryana. So on June 25th, the families of the 6 people, they had traveled to Delhi to plead action from the government. And as you all know, Hindu had reported it earlier around at the end of January. From February we have been covering this, that many Indians have been duped with the promises of jobs in Russia, and once they had been taken to Russia, they were forced to get involved in this war. And our government is asking Russian army to release them from the contracts that they might have signed at this point. So again, old news would be there in some, we'll keep on covering this because anyways our Prime Minister is going to travel to Russia. So this would be news again. Third, till Russia do us part, NATO at 75, an enduring alliance. Now please understand again, this article, 27th February, you can see last holdout, Hungary approves Sweden's NATO membership. I had talked about that over there. And if you see here, Sweden, I was talking about how, where it is and how it is going to become a member of this. Similarly, all the members, their names were mentioned. Hungary's parliament representatives seen voting on the ratification of Sweden's NATO membership. That all was mentioned. Finland was the 31st member, and NATO will have 32 countries among its members. All that we had discussed, again I am repeating, on 27th February. In great manner, in very detailed manner, we have discussed this many times. Now again, there is an article on NATO. Now why it is? Because North Atlantic Treaty Organization came into being on April 4th, 1949. So this way, if you see, 75 years have happened for this alliance. Originally, which started as an Atlantic Alliance. The thing is, NATO's failure in Afghanistan So I'll write this. NATO's failure in Afghanistan and Russia's aggression in Ukraine have suddenly made this body much more influential, much more, in demand. So if you see here, now this one thing I would definitely point it out to you. See, I've taken somewhere, in this it is written. It is about many books that are written on this. I'm not interested in that. But you can see NATO began its life as Atlantic Alliance in 49 with 12 states including US and Canada, UK, France, Belgium among others in Europe as its founding members. Just give me 1 second. I told you 12 members. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can see these yellow color names. They are the founding members. That day I told you the whole trajectory of NATO. So anyone, please go back 27th February, CNA, you go into that, just cover this NATO portion from there. How NATO has expanded. Later Greece and Turkey became its member. Then Germany became member. Spain became member. Then 3 countries, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Poland. Then these countries, Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia. Then Albania and Croatia. Then Montenegro. Then North Macedonia. And of course, then Finland and Sweden. How this has expanded. So we have talked about this, in great length on that day. So as you can see, again, I'm going back to this. So it is written, the original aim of this was to deter Soviet Union expansion under Stalin. Now this article mentions NATO today has 31 members, which I think is wrong. It should have been 32 members. With the fact that Sweden has joined it, it is now going to have 32 members. Now again, as you can see here, this article is talking about certain books like NATO Endures, Atlantic and the Enemies, Untold Story, the Third World War, all this, and they have taken up many comments with the writers who have mentioned here in their books. But I'm not going into that detail. I don't want this thing. I will take up the important issues of this topic which might be important for our exam. So for example, in those days, US President Harry Truman was very worried that Stalin wants to expand the influence of the Red Army. Wanted puppet communist governments to be installed after the Second World War. So the NATO's purpose, in one place, very good line it was mentioned. I'll show you. See here. To keep the Soviet Union out, the Americans in, and the Germans down. Please remember, Germany was not the original member of NATO, not the founding member of NATO. So initially the Germans had to be kept down. So this is a very beautiful line. So I'm writing here, the initial objective of NATO. No need to remember who stated this. Initial objective was to keep the Soviet Union out, the Americans in, and the Germans down. Similarly, another person says, now NATO has become, it's not working. One of the authors is saying that NATO at 75 is now the longest military alliance. So all this is being spoken over here. Now, let me take another slide and change the pen color. Some important points in this article about NATO was that around June 48, there were many events that led to the formation of NATO. And in this they say that Western allies, they introduced a new German currency. Now this is Cold War era. This new German currency was Deutschmark, and these were introduced in the British, American and the French zones. Now those who don't know, after the Second World War, Berlin was divided into zones. These were the 3 zones, and the 4th zone was of USSR. So in these 3 zones the new currency was introduced, and Stalin, as a retaliation, cut off the road plus rail access of the western sector, and thus bringing what we study in Cold War chapter, the Berlin blockade. And this led to the remarkable Berlin airlift, under which the allies, the Western allies, had been providing essential goods to the people of Berlin, like foodstuff to coal, for 323 days. This is an extraordinary event as far as this Cold War era is concerned. The Berlin blockade, the Berlin aircraft. This is something that in Cold War most probably you all people would have studied. Similarly, there are some other important points, but one last thing, NATO kept on talking about the democratic ideology, but then NATO also had members like Portugal, whose ruler Salazar was nothing less than a dictator. So this is something that you can remember. Rest, there is nothing else that is very, very important in this article. Rest is again, book excerpts that have been taken from there, and I don't want you to remember that, study that. This is more than sufficient. Let us begin. Okay, one line, just the last line, I'll take this. And again, I'm not quoting the book, so cut this line. Unlike the members of pre-1939 alliance, that is before World War II, whichever alliances were formed, they would often keep their allies in dark. So even if I and you are an ally, I would not tell you all the secrets. So NATO members, unlike the older allies or older alliances, they opted for integration, transparency in their defense efforts to a degree never before achieved in the history of alliances. And yet, the alliance has survived. After NATO's failure in Afghanistan, Russia's aggression has given new momentum to the alliance, making it relevant. So this is something that you can remember. Moving ahead, let us see what is happening in factories. Please, 27th February, please cover that paper if you have not done. NATO portion. Factory accidents are pointed to rusty inspection reform. Mr. K.R. Shyam Sundar, Adjunct Professor, Management Development Institute, Gurgaon, has written this article. Now, basically, is pointing out to many factory incidents that have happened in the near past, as far as Maharashtra is concerned. So, for example, in Dombivali, Maharashtra, if you all have traveled to that area, you would know that there is Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation, MIDC. I'll just erase this. Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation. There, in a chemical factory in May 2024, accident happened. Resulted into the death of many workers, damage to factories, nearby shops, factories, etc., etc. What he is pointing out is that this is not a new phenomenon. He is saying that this explosion that happened in this chemical factory, in the past also many such incidents have happened. You can see frequently in 2016, 2018, 2020, 2023. And he's saying Maharashtra government is guilty because they have not relocated 156 chemical factories in Dombivli MIDC even after deciding in 22 that they would be relocating them to Patal Ganga. Now, when this finding was done, it was found out that the boiler in the chemical factory was not registered under Indian Boiler Regulations 1950. So, in the introduction, basically, the author is saying, pointing out to one factory explosion and saying that there are so many such explosions that have happened in the past also. And he now lists out that there are issues. Why so many, incidents are happening? The first reason he says is poor inspection. Now, please understand, he has written so much about poor inspection. I don't want you to remember because there are lots of data here. I'll give you just 1-2 points. For poor inspection, he has taken data from Directorate General Factory Advice Service and Labor Institute's report 2022. Based on this, he says, for example, in 2021, Maharashtra only 1551 out of 6492 factories which are classified as hazardous factories, they were inspected. Similarly, only 3158 out of 39255 registered factories, they were inspected. Similarly, he says it's not only about Maharashtra, he says in Tamil Nadu, similarly in Gujarat, this rate is very, very less. So please understand, one of the reasons why so many incidents happen is this is because of the poor inspection rate. So first point he says is incidents are happening because of poor inspection rates. Now to add to that, he says, why is there a poor inspection rate? He says this is happening, the poor inspection rate, you can see the second point I have written here is because there is a shortage of personnel amongst other reasons. There are less people. So he says, for example, Maharashtra, out of 122 sanctioned officers, only 48 are appointed. That means the number is around 40%. He says Gujarat is around 51%, Tamil Nadu is around 54%. All India figure is only 68%. So you can see he is saying that the second reason why inspection is poor is because there is a dearth of personnels. People are less. So clearly, if people are less, there is a heavy workload as far as the inspectors are concerned. So he points out to a number. These inspectors, I'll just give you one state's number. In Maharashtra, an inspector has to inspect 818 factories in a year. Gujarat has 589. Tamil Nadu has 532, India has 499 on an average. Just think, let's take the lowest of the number, 499, which is the average. If let's say I'm an inspector and I'm asked that in 365 days, go and inspect 500 factories. Just imagine, one factory inspection, if 500 is an average, 499 is there, and 365 days, subtract 65 days out of this, let's say there are 300 working days. So I am expected that every day I should on an average do 1.66 factory inspection. You all can understand this is very, very tough ask because it's not only about inspection. One whole factory in one day would in itself be a very tough thing. Then make a report, submit that report, look into the actions taken in that. So it's a very, very tough task. And let's say if I say, okay, I inspected, I say this factory has not adhered to the minimum, the prescribed conditions. And I say, prosecute them. The author says another problem that happens is the poor prosecution rate. Again, no need to remember. He says prosecution rate is only 7% in Gujarat. In Maharashtra, it is 14. Tamil Nadu, it is 14. So, if the prosecution is so poor, these inspectors, they lose their deterrent effect. So, clearly all this, till now, the author has clearly demonstrated that in India, the labor market governance is going through a poor time. And that's why the author then suggests that there is a need for, and I'll change the pen color, need for right reforms in inspection. And of course, he says there should be penalties for the enforcer. So, if you don't read this also, and just remember one line, that International Labour Organization's Labour Inspection Convention 1947 has been violated. How? Let me tell you. The author says, in India what has been done, many states have tried to improve the inspection system through self-certification, randomized inspections, online inspections, third-party certification, and the author says all this basically violate ILO's Labor Inspection Convention. Under ILO's labor inspection conventions, there should be enough inspectors. These should be qualified. They should enter any establishment without prior notice to secure whether the labor laws are being complied or not. So these are the things that the author are suggesting. So for labor reforms, for economy, please make some of these points mention in your notes and remember them always. Moving ahead, Gujarat High Court rejects state government's probe report in Vadodra boat tragedy. Now you all would remember in Vadodra boat tragedy around 6 months back, 12 teachers lost their life, 12 students lost their life and 2 teachers had died when their boat had capsized in a lake known as Motnath Lake in Vadodra. Now in this there was an inquiry constituted, and that inquiry report, when it came to Gujarat High Court, state government had submitted this report. High Court has cancelled this and has ordered a fresh probe. Now why it is happening? Because state government's report absolves the former civic chief. Though the fact is the contract to operate the lakefront, was given during that time. The court is also asking, that, and pointed it out, that the report is trying to protect the municipal commissioner of then Vadodra, then municipal commissioner, despite the fact that the contractor who was given this work was not qualified for this project. So the court has also criticized the principal secretary of the urban development and has asked them, that, again look into this matter and come back. See, these are the, examples that you can use in the man-made tragedies, how because of the, I would say ignorance and because of the pathetic work culture, many times these tragedies happen. Think about those 12 students, 2 teachers, think about their families, how they would be impacted. And unfortunately, even after the 6 months having passed and inquiry commissions being established, no justice have been given to these 14 families. So that's the unfortunate aspect. Now everyone, from here onwards, all the prelims topics are there. These are the topics that you must have studied in the past. For example, Smart City project, nothing new. Very old project. What is new? Center has extended the Smart City mission under the Union Urban Development Ministry till March 31st, 2025. When was this launched? It was launched in June 2015. 100 cities were chosen through a competition. They were to be developed as smart cities. Now, areas within the cities, they had to be, developed as model areas. Their development plan were approved. So under this, in 800 cities, almost 8,000 multi-sectoral projects had been developed. This was amounting to 1.6 lakh crore project under this. Now till yesterday, July 3rd, they have completed 7,188 projects. Out of 8,000, clearly you can see 90% projects which amount to 1 crore 44 lakh 237 1 lakh 44,237 crore projects are already done. So clearly 90% of the project, 90% of the expenditure that had to be done is completed. Now the balance that is there, in this case you can see balance is around 830 projects. They are yet to be completed. Now the problem here is, when I was reading this article in the morning, see here, as on July 3rd, 100 cities have completed 7,188 projects. And later it writes balances 830 projects. If they were more than 800, just adding 7188 plus 830, this comes out to be 7,918 projects. So I don't know, how did they say it is more than 8,000? Similarly, if they are saying that 1,44,237 crore project is done, I'll add this for you. So 1,44,237 crore project is done. Next line they say 19,926 are in advanced stage. 19, 9, 2 and 6. So if I add this 3, 6, 11, 4, 6, 1. This comes out to be 1,64,163 crore. And they have written around 1.6. This is mentioned over here. So this was the number. You don't have to remember this. The only thing is whatever is pending, they are expected now that it will all be completed by March 31st, 2025. So please study about the Smart City Mission. Old topic, almost now 10 years old, but in news, so cover it. Another, this is also in news for a very long period of time. Bullet train expected to begin operations by 2027 end. Now, you all know between Mumbai and Ahmedabad, bullet train is going to start. And they are saying that operations in Gujarat, that is Gujarat side, this would start by 2027 end and later would be extended to Maharashtra. This is according to National High Speed Rail Corporation Limited. So clearly, in this article it is saying that first phase, that is in Gujarat, would be inaugurated before Gujarat Assembly elections. This is going to happen in 2027. December 2027, the Gujarat, what do you call this, term of the house would expire. And before that, they are saying in Gujarat, this phase would start. So clearly, trial runs are expected to start in 2026 between Surat City and Bili Mora. It's a 50-kilometer stretch. The writers, the news is saying that since the project is in a much more advanced stage in Gujarat, it is prudent to start commercial operations here first and then expand this to Maharashtra as construction work gets completed. Now, just to give you some idea about this, 500-kilometer long rail corridor it would be. 90% of this would be elevated. There would be 12 stations in this corridor. Out of these, 8 would be in Gujarat. These 8 are starting from Sabarmati, Ahmedabad, Anand, Vadodra, Bharuch, Surat, we just now said, Bilimora, and Vapi. And 4 of them would be in Maharashtra. These are Boisar, Virar, Thane, and of course Mumbai. So presently you can see the first stretch they are saying would be between this. Then they are saying once this is done in 2026, in the next stretch, Vadodra to Vapi would be done by 2027. And by second half of 2028, this would all be completed. Once we achieve this, the travel time would reduce to 3 hours. So presently, this Ahmedabad to this Vande Bharat, Mumbai, that operates, takes around 5.3 hours. 5.5 means 5.5 hours. Travel time, air travel is around 95 minutes. But that would come down to 3 hours once this bullet train is constructed. And then they have talked about, how much progress is done and all that. Apart from this, in this, there was one fact which I wanted to tell you. That fact was Maharashtra, there is a construction going on for India's first undersea rail tunnel. A 7-kilometer stretch of this between Bandra Kurla complex and Shilfata is underway. So that's one line that you can remember. Lastly, for prelims, who is supporting this? Japan International Cooperation Agency, through an official development assistance, is helping in this bullet train project. So Indo-Japan relations, always mention the bullet train topic. Moving ahead, no Indian industry presence in board of National Research Foundation. So the executive and governing boards of Anushandhan National Research Foundation, ANRF, a high-level body conceived to give India strategic direction to scientific research in India, has no representation from Indian body. Earlier this week, Ministry of Science and Technology unveiled these names. Plus, no names from state university. The problem is, this is totally against the ANRF Act, which was passed in August 2023. Because in this act, which had talked about galvanizing research by having almost 36,000 crore, that is 70% of the outlay of the initial 50,000 crore from non-government sources, industry, philanthropists, etc., etc. Now please understand, read this. To this end, the text of the Act specifically empowered the President of the Governing Board. Who is the President of the Governing Board? In this case, Prime Minister of India. For prelims, always remember the President of Governing Board here is Prime Minister. So 5 members, to nominate or appoint up to 5 members from business organization or industry. Now, don't remember after this what is mentioned, but just to read it out to you. This Ministry of Science, they named these 15 members, has got one industrialist, Ramesh Vadvani. He's an American billionaire of Indian origin, former CEO and chairperson of the Symphony Technology Group. There are 2 other Americans with Indian roots, Manjul Bhargav, professor in Princeton University, Shubhra Suresh, professor at Large Brown University, and former head of the US National Research Foundation, from which ANRF draws inspiration. Only 2 universities are represented in the board by the directors of Indian Institute of Science and Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. All this is mentioned. See, no need to remember these names. We have to clearly keep in mind that this, ANRF, when it was thought by the government, the whole idea was that this will give strategic direction to research, innovation, and it was a great news for the scientists, for innovators, for startup industry, etc., etc. But then somehow this appears to getting diluted by this action. Next, air pollution spikes may raise death rates in cities with cleaner air. I told you at the very beginning. See, this is what I have said. So clearly, if there is the same increase in air pollution in Bengaluru and Delhi, you all know Delhi is, having higher pollution levels compared to Bengaluru. And if tomorrow both of them have same increase, the death rate would be higher in Bengaluru compared to Delhi. So presently pollution is high for whom? Delhi compared to Bengaluru. Both of them, if tomorrow have the same rates, unfortunately the death would be higher for that city which has cleaner air. This is the finding that has been published in Lancet Planet Health. You don't have to read anything else in this article. This is a study that was done, and similar study was done in many other areas in other countries like China, Greece, Japan, Spain. So here again China having higher pollution, but the death rates would have been higher in these countries, Greece, Japan and Spain, rather than China, if the same pollution levels increase. So just as a fact, remember this. If tomorrow in prelims anything like this comes, you should be ready with that. Second last topic, India to host UNESCO World Heritage Committee session. It would be 46th session from July 21st to 31st, July 21 to 31st in New Delhi at Bharat Mandapam. It would be organized by Archaeological Survey of India. Most probably would be inaugurated by Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi. Now please understand, World Heritage Committee comprises representatives from 21 state parties to the World Heritage Convention 1972 elected by General Assembly of UNESCO. Who are the current members of this? Since November 2023, of course, India is a member. And apart from that, you can see, if I number, Argentina 1, Belgium 2, Bulgaria 3, Greece 4, India 5, Italy 6, Jamaica 7, Japan 8, Kazakhstan 9, Kenya 10, Lebanon 11, Mexico 12, Qatar 13, Republic of Korea 14, Rwanda 15, 16, St. Vincent and Grenadines, that was 16, 17 Senegal, 18 Turkey, 19 Ukraine, 20 is Vietnam, 21 is Zambia. So you can see 21 state parties, 21 are mentioned here. Very tough to remember the names of 21 nations who are presently the member of this committee. Very, very tough. But then do try to remember the name that yes, India is a member of this. India is a member of this. And do remember that it is elected by General Assembly of UNESCO. These are certain things that you should definitely be remembering. What does this committee do? This committee is responsible for the implementation of the World Heritage Convention. So just remember this much. For prelims, because again I am telling you with every day the way prelims questions are coming, we need to have high idea about more and more topics. Few things here and there, you never know what will come in the exam. Moving ahead, UFO. What is this? UFO Day rekindles the conspiracy theory that refuses to die. Now, you will keep on hearing from different areas in the world, like US, Canada, that somebody has sighted UFOs. And though nothing has been concretely proven, but then on July 2nd, people celebrate the UFO Day, which started from the Roswell incident on July 2nd, 1947. On that day, something had crashed at a ranch in New Mexico, and there were reports that the US military had recovered a flying disc. US military later said it's only a debris of high altitude weather balloon. But then, since then, there have been so many numerous cases which would involve Air Force, US government report talking about sightings of aircrafts or other devices which are flying at mysterious speeds, at mysterious heights, at mysterious trajectories. So all this is going on. Nothing more than important. Remember only the day. Finally, Hurricane Beryl, you have to remember it is the same one which has impacted West Indies, moving towards the island of Jamaica, and was announced as life-threatening and kept under the category 4. So your work would be, you all must have done geography, study how these hurricanes are named, what is the difference between hurricane or a storm, what are the categories of this. This is a simple geography topic. You have to remember this much, and remember this because very much in news because our cricket team had got impacted. So you have to remember this. By mistake it is here. This should be environment GS paper 3. By mistake for environment there is GS paper 1 is mentioned. I know it should be GS paper 3. By mistake it happened. Okay, this is okay. Let us look at the 2 questions for the day, and the 2 questions are: discuss the challenges faced by the Smart Cities mission in India. Suggest measures to address these challenges and ensure the mission's effectiveness in promoting sustainable urban development. 150 words, 10 marker. The second question is: the expansion and strengthening of the NATO and a stronger US-Europe strategic partnership works well for India. What is your opinion about this statement? Give reasons and examples to support your answer. 250 words, 15 marker. So these are the 2 questions. Discuss them, write it, and let's meet again, same place, same venue tomorrow. Till then, goodbye. Thank you.